Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Way That I See It. My name is Lucy Superfox, and this is my podcast. So today I want to talk about self-worth. I want to talk about, do you feel worthy of your goals, dreams, and desires? So as you can see, I'm kind of barefaced. I've literally just got a little bit of what we call CC cream on, because I was like, today I just feel like being just me, not doing my hair, not fussing, not fluffing, not needing to do all of these things. And I actually feel better, right, for not needing to do these things. And the reason why this is connected to the conversation we're going to have today about self-worth and feeling worthy is because I think what happens so much of the time is we create conditions around why we're worthy, or why something works for us, or why something is possible for us, or we create conditions around our self-worth. And so what I want to talk about today is how to identify those conditions, how to work out when and why and how they've been created, and ultimately how to recreate them. Because when we create a system or a paradigm, it's called basically a way we see the world. So a perspective, a paradigm, a construct, lots of different language around it. What we've done is we've created that through experience, right? We haven't created that through fact. We've created that through experience, which feels like fact, which feels like truth for us. When we create through experience, what then happens is we have that kind of to fall back on, right? So whenever we want to do something different and we think, well, maybe I could, grow my business, or maybe I could earn more money than that, or maybe I could lose the weight. What happens is the paradigms of the past, or the constructs of the past, rear their ugly head and say, but could you though? Because look at all the evidence that says that you can't. And so what I want you to know is that your self-worth right now, what you believe you're worthy of, what you believe is possible for you, what, the stories of your life ultimately that you are telling are as a result of the paradigms and constructs and belief systems that you've created up to this point. Like, that's a pretty hard fact, right? So if you want to create a new belief system, a new paradigm, a new construct in order to feel worthy, first of all, you've got to get aware of what they are, right? And so little things like, telling a story that because I'm going to record a podcast, I have to do my hair and makeup. And because it's the weekend, I should post at this time of day. And because of X, I should do Y. And what happens when we create these paradigms and constructs, and it's not to say they don't always serve us, because you can create paradigms that serve you, you can create paradigms that don't serve you, right? And either or. And in both ways, they're actually serving you, because every single paradigm you've created is so that you can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The question is not whether or not you will become a self-fulfilling prophecy, it's whether or not you want it to be fulfilled. So what happens a lot of the time is people actually don't realize they have constructs and paradigms that are actually negative, and then they're fighting against them all the time. So what happens is you become a self-fulfilling prophecy of the thing that you don't want, right? So what we have to do is get aware of the stories, the narratives, the belief systems, the constructs, the paradigms, basically the way that we see the world. We have to be able to be aware of those in order to change those. When we can change those, then we can redesign and recreate our life. And our self-worth is often very much attached to those constructs and paradigms. And so you'll be surprised by some of the stories that you tell around what's possible for you based on your experience and based on your past. So when it comes to being worthy, I think what most people do is say, oh, I know I could, right? They say, I know I could, or I think I could. And what both of those words really tell me, what they're both really indicative of, is knowledge, right? Is a cognitive understanding, which means your brain gets it, right? You can logically comprehend. What that doesn't tell me is that you feel worthy. What that doesn't tell me is that you feel ready. What that doesn't tell me is that you are excited and it's a desire and you're passionate and you want to go get it, right? And that's not what that tells me. So the challenge is that what most people confuse is knowledge with emotional readiness, and they confuse, logic with self-worth. And a lot of people say this to me in business. Obviously, I'm a business mentor in network marketing, and a lot of people in my success line and not in my success say, I know I'm going to achieve X, Y, Z, or I know I can do A, B, C. And knowing is not the same as feeling and being. And feeling and being is the sense of self-worth, is the sense of self-confidence, is the sense of self-trust, is the sense of, absolute certainty. And knowing is just a logical understanding that it could be possible. And those two things are completely different. And I think that's what confuses people. I think it's also what frustrates people when they cognitively understand that something is possible for them, but at the same time, they don't actually feel like they are that person. And so this is where the confidence course came from, right? Because I realized there was this duplicity or duality of people knowing but not necessarily feeling, and people thinking but not necessarily being. And so this is where that's why it's called the becoming course, right? Because you have to become in order to have. So not just know, not just act, not just do, but actually become to have. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make you can call it manifestation, you can call it creation, you can call it life design, you can call it building your business. You can call it whatever the fuck you want, right? But ultimately it's the same thing, is that people make the mistake of thinking that they need to do things in a means to an end to get somewhere. And what I will tell you is that's not how you achieve anything great in life. It doesn't mean you cannot achieve things in that method, but where the joy comes, where the fun comes, where the synchronicity comes, where the easy ride, where the alignment comes, where all that comes from becoming. That comes from becoming a vibrational match for the things that you want. And when someone tells me they think or they know they could achieve something, that's not a vibrational match. That's a cognitive understanding. So what you've got to get your head around is, just because you know something's possible, or you cognitively can logically get your head around the fact that something is possible, that does not mean, right, that you are ready for it. That does not mean that you believe you can have it. That does not mean that you believe you're worthy. And what most people make the mistake of thinking is getting frustrated why things aren't happening for them, why life isn't changing, why their business isn't growing, because they think that they're worthy. But thinking and believing and being are very different things. And so, like I said, this is where the confidence course came from, right? That's what the module process is about. So the first step to anything is awareness, right? Whether it's recognizing that you've got some negative habits, whether it's recognizing that you're unhappy, like the first step to anything in life is awareness. So when you're aware, then what you're doing is taking something out of your subconscious autopilot mind into your conscious mind, which is the forefront of your mind. It's the active mind. When something's in the active mind, it means we're filtering for it more. So when you then filter for it more, you go, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. Oh my God, that falls into my negative habits again. Oh my, so what happens is when you first get aware, what we're doing is bringing that cognitive awareness to those bad habits, or sorry, I hate the word bad habits, negative habits, or things that don't serve you. We're bringing awareness to that. And when we bring awareness to that, that's when we can start to create change. But what most people do is try to create change without the awareness. They go, right, I'm going to start going to the gym every single day, and I'm going to start drinking 4 liters of water, not aware of the fact that when the reason they don't drink water is because they actually, the feeling they get from having a caffeine hit is the thing that they crave, right? Or they start thinking going to the gym every day, but what they don't realize is that actually the reason that they don't want to get out of bed in the morning is they go to bed too late and they're exhausted. So bringing awareness to why you're currently doing the things that you're doing is the first step, or currently believing the things that you're believing, if we're talking about paradigms. And then when you've done that first bit, then you're in the position to go, okay, cool. What could I replace this with? How could I transition this? What would be the next baby step? What would be the step in the direction of the life that I want, the goals that I want, the things that I want? And what happens is, so much of the time as people try to shortcut, and I've literally posted this quote and I'm not sure who it's from. I've Googled it a few times, not seen it. Like, the shortcut is doing the work. And the work is not the hustle and the strive, right? The work is the inner work. The work is the belief work. The work is the clearing. These are the names of the modules, right? In the confidence course: clearing, healing, restoring, manifesting, and becoming. Like, that's the work. And the reason that I believe in digital courses, right, is I've taken quite a few myself, been in a few coaching programs, obviously got a few certifications, that kind of thing, but that's not what this is about. But the reason I believe in a digital course or a structured program is because when we do things by ourselves, from reading it, let's say you read a book, you do the exercises in the book, what then happens when you finish the book? So what happens really? What structural thing happens on a daily basis when you finish the book? Not a lot. Our brains are so transient, like our lives are so constant, that unless you do something with structure and programming over a set period of time, it's very difficult to change the mind. And this is why I started creating courses, because I used to coach on a very kind of like free-flowing monthly basis. So people would do a module a month, they'd have a monthly subscription with me, and I might bring that back. That did really well, actually. People love that. But what I love about the intensity of a digital course, in terms of like, this one is obviously a 5-week course with a live workshop, and you can do this in your own time. So module 1 dropped last Monday for those people who already signed up. Module 2 will drop this Monday again. So you get instant access. So even if you signed up, like when you listen to this podcast, you'll just get instant access to module 1, module 2, and the bonuses. But it's a 5-week course, module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's a live workshop in week 6. But that structure means for 6 weeks, you're doing the work. 6 weeks, you're accountable. 6 weeks, you're showing up. That's 6 weeks of programming intensely. That's going to shift more of a change than haphazardly dipping in and out of something. And this is why I started doing what I'm doing, because, you can consume all the Instagram content, listen to all the podcasts in the world, but without structured personal development, nothing would change. You might take the odd quote, the odd piece, the odd enlightenment, the odd moment, but your habits don't really change. Your behavior doesn't really change. Your belief system doesn't really change from consuming. All that happens is you regurgitate, right? That doesn't mean you've actually embodied and changed. And this is why I created the Becoming course, because more people need to embody the change they actually want to see in their lives. Less people need to talk about it, and more people actually need to do it. And, I'm actually training at an event in a couple of weeks. And the topic I've been given is, why do I think it's something like, why you know what to do, but you're not doing it. And honestly, this is the topic I could train on all day because of these exact things that I've just talked about. So right now, if you're not sure if you're worthy of your goals, or you believe you're worthy of your goals, but they're not just happening yet, I want you to really dig into, like, actually, am I becoming, am I stepped in? Am I that person? Or am I just thinking or logically knowing it's possible for me? Because that's the difference, right? Self-worth is a sense of being. It's a state of being. It's who you are. It's an energy. It's how you bring yourself to the things that you need to do to achieve your goal, right? And obviously I'm being vague right now, but it's the intention, it's the purpose, and what most people do is bring the logical thinking and tick boxes and don't understand why a goal doesn't happen. And energetically, vibrationally, never going to happen that way. But even on a logical level, you are not a match for the thing that you want, because just thinking about something doesn't bring it to form, right? And I think that's sometimes where, people say, oh, I've read The Secret. I'm like, yeah, but The Secret is just the first step, right? There are 5 other steps after that. And this is why I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks. If you're not into it, get into it. It'll change your life. So yeah, I feel like I've had a good rant on that. I feel like hopefully I've helped you see the difference between knowing you're worthy and being worthy. And really the difference is doing the inner work, taking it from a logical place, a cognitive place, a thinking place, to a feeling place, a being place, and ultimately becoming. And that's what the Becoming Confidence course is all about. So if you want to jump in, you can find it by going to lucysuperfox.com/confidence. You can also go to lucysuperfox.com/slot to download your free confidence meditation. Meditation is a game changer for breaking those habits, circuits, and patterns. So there's a 6-minute meditation that's free for you to download, for you to access wherever you want, wherever you like, on your phone, just to break up those habits of your day, to actually step into that self-worth, to step into that being and becoming. And if you feel called to take that structured personal development, to take yourself on a journey, to hold yourself accountable for a 6-week period, then you can check out the confidence course on the website. So I hope you have the most beautiful week. I will be back next week, probably talking more on this topic. I don't feel like we're quite done yet. You know what I'm like? I like to binge a topic. I do have some guests in the pipeline for interview later on this month. It's currently March 2023, so those guests will be interviewed later on this month and up on the podcast, subject to getting it all edited, etc. So have the most beautiful rest of week. As always, I would love for you to leave a review, leave me a comment, tag me on Instagram. I always love to know what you're thinking. But otherwise, have the most incredible week. Thank you for joining me. This was The Way That I See It, and I'll see you on the next episode.